On the night of March 4th, 1958, Eleanor Marsh couldn't sleep. She was at her kitchen window, 2:17 in the morning, a cup of tea going cold in her hand. The mountains were dark outside. Nothing moving. Nothing at all. Then she saw them. 6 trucks, moving up the ridge road above town.
No headlights. No headlights.
6 massive trucks, moving through total darkness, up a mountain road in a Colorado winter. No engine sound. None. Just 6 enormous shapes. Black canvas covers, sliding through the dark like they had been designed not to exist. Eleanor stood at that window for 4 minutes. She counted. Then she went back to bed. She never told anyone. 6 weeks later, the United States government arrived in Millhaven, Colorado. They told 400 people to pack their things. Leave your homes. Leave your land. Leave your dead in the ground. And never, not ever, talk about why. Nobody outside a very small room knew the real reason. For 40 years, they didn't. But here is what you need to understand before we go any further. Eleanor Marsh didn't see government trucks that night. She saw the thing that ended everything she loved. She just didn't know it yet. Millhaven, Colorado. Population 412. A diner. A post office. 2 churches. A gymnasium that flooded every spring. Pine trees so tall they block the afternoon sun by 3 o'clock. A real town. With real people. With birthdays and arguments and Friday night basketball. With the smell of pine resin in August. With the sound of creek water running fast in March. And one boy, 17 years old, who had decided he would live there for the rest of his life. His name was Raymond Decker. Raymond's father worked the mines. His mother baked bread on Sundays. Raymond knew every neighbor on his street, every porch light schedule, every garden fence, every dog. He belonged to Millhaven, and Millhaven belonged to him. Hold that image. Because belonging, it turns out, can be taken from you. Quietly, legally, with a document and a pen and 2 cups of coffee going cold on a kitchen table. It was a Tuesday afternoon. 3 men arrived at Mayor Harold Pruitt's front door. Suits, leather briefcases, government ID from an agency nobody in Millhaven had ever heard of before. Harold was 61 years old. He had been mayor for 9 years. The most complicated thing he had ever dealt with was a disputed drainage easement. He let the men in. He poured coffee. He sat down. The man across the table opened a folder. He didn't look up when he spoke.
Mayor Pruitt.
Your town has been designated a federal acquisition zone. Harold said, I'm sorry. A what? The residents will need to relocate. 60 days. Harold stared at him. You're asking 400 people to leave their homes. The man closed the folder. He looked up for the first time. No, Mayor, he said. We are not asking. Harold asked where everyone was going. Classified. He asked why. Classified. He asked what would happen to the cemetery. Classified. He asked if he had a choice. The man looked at him, and Harold Pruitt understood his answer without hearing it. He signed the document. Within 60 days, Millhaven was empty. 400 people, scattered across 7 different states. None of them together. None of them near each other. Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, and places further still. Each family, a check, a warning, and 3 sentences they were told not to forget. Do not discuss your former residence. Do not discuss the circumstances of your relocation. Do not discuss this with anyone outside your household. National security. Most of them listened. Most of them. Raymond Decker was 17 the day his family drove out of Millhaven for the last time. He sat in the back seat. He had decided that morning not to cry. He watched through the rear window. The water tower, visible above the tree line, getting smaller. Then the road bent left, and it was gone. His mother was crying softly into her hands. His father said nothing, both hands on the wheel, jaw tight, eyes forward. Raymond leaned forward and said, "Dad, what did we just do?" His father didn't answer. He just drove. Raymond kept that silence for 23 years. Not because he had no questions. He had nothing but questions. He carried them from Wichita to Denver, job to job, house to house, suburb to suburb. Every suburb looked like 800 other suburbs. None of them smelled like pine resin. None of them had creek water in spring. None of them were his. He had signed a document. His parents had signed. Everyone from Millhaven had signed. And Raymond was not sure what happened to people who stopped honoring documents signed under duress. He was not willing to find out. What changed was his daughter. Her name was Carol, 24 years old in 1982. Studying cartography at the University of Colorado, the science of maps, the art of recording exactly where things are. She had asked her father, many times, why he never talked about where he grew up. He always said, "Small town, nothing to tell, doesn't exist anymore." She accepted it, the way children accept the silences their parents carry. But Carol was a cartographer, and cartographers notice when something is missing. It was a Thursday afternoon. The University Map Library. Carol was tracing population patterns across Colorado mountain counties, 1880 to 1970. She pulled a county survey map from 1955, and there it was. Millhaven. Road access. Elevation marker. Population notation. Clear as anything. She pulled the same map from 1962. Nothing. The road was there. The elevation lines were there. But the town was gone. No name. No population figure. No notation of any kind. As if someone had looked at a record of a living place and simply decided to remove it. She pulled 1963, 1965, 1968, 1975. All blank. All blank. Carol went home for Thanksgiving that year. She put the 1955 map on the table between her and her father. Raymond looked at it for a long time. He didn't move. He didn't speak. Carol said quietly, "Dad, tell me about Millhaven." Raymond looked up. Something behind his eyes had shifted. He said, "Where did you get this?" "University archive," Carol said. "It was in the public records." Raymond put his hand flat on the map, covering the town's name with his palm. He said, "I thought they got all of these." Carol said nothing. Raymond looked at her for a long moment. Then he said, "Close the door." He talked for 4 hours. Carol took notes. Everything Raymond had held for 23 years had arranged itself inside him with the density of something that has been under tremendous pressure for too long. But here is the crucial thing. Raymond only knew his piece of the story. No single resident of Millhaven knew the complete picture. That was not an accident. That was a method. You separate a community. You scatter them across 7 states. You bind each person to silence individually. You make sure no single person has enough of the picture to understand what they're looking at. And then you wait. Carol spent the next 18 months doing what her father couldn't. She found people. 31 former Millhaven residents. 19 recorded interviews. When she laid those interviews side by side and looked for the shape that connected them, she found something. Something nobody had been able to see before, because nobody had been allowed to be in the same room long enough to see it. In the months before the relocation, winter and spring of 1958, several residents had noticed activity above the town. The northern ridge, where the tree line broke open into a wide plateau.
Vehicles.
Not mining equipment, not forestry trucks, something else, arriving before dawn, leaving after dark. 3 residents who lived on the north side of town had all seen it. None of them had spoken to each other since the relocation. All 3 described the exact same thing. Silent trucks.
No headlights.
Before dawn. Eleanor Marsh was 69 when Carol found her in 1983. A neat house in the Denver suburbs. 2 cats. Carol set the recorder on the kitchen table. Eleanor looked at it and said, "Is this going to get me in trouble?" Carol said, "Tell me about the trucks." Eleanor looked at her hands. March of 58, she said. 2 in the morning. I was at the window. My husband's insomnia. What did you see? 6 trucks. Big ones. Canvas covers. Moving up the ridge road. Carol said, "In the dark?" Eleanor looked up.
No headlights.
That's the thing I kept coming back to.
No headlights.
No sound. 6 trucks that size, on a mountain road, and I could not hear them. She was quiet for a moment. I went back to bed. I told myself I'd misread it, that the dark plays tricks. She looked down at the table. 6 weeks later, the men came to Harold's house, but it was a man named George Talley who gave Carol the detail that changed everything. Not a memory, a photograph. George Talley was living in Albuquerque when Carol found him in 1983. 60 years old. Former hardware store owner. A quiet man who had kept a photograph for 25 years. Couldn't explain why he kept it. Just knew he had to. Carol looked at it. Millhaven's Main Street. Summer of 1955. The diner. The post office. The water tower. Children on bicycles. She almost missed it. Top right corner. Just above the ridge line. A structure. Against the summer sky. Something that had no reason to be there. Carol pointed to it. "George, what is that?" George took the photograph. He stared at it. "I don't know," he said slowly. "I never noticed that before." Then he said something else. Something quieter. "The day we left," he said. "I drove back through town. One last time." Carol said, "Why?" "I don't know. I needed to see it." His voice went thin. I went into the diner. The coffee pot was still on the counter. The chalk menu was still on the board. Nobody had erased it. He stopped. I stood there for 3 minutes. Just stood there, looking at what the Tuesday special was. Then I left. Carol looked at that photograph for a long time after George left the room. The structure above the ridge. Small. Easy to miss. But there. In a photograph taken in 1955. 3 years before the government arrived. Which meant whatever was operating on that plateau was already there before anyone told the town to leave. The relocation had not been preparation for the project. The relocation had been cleanup after it. Carol filed a Freedom of Information request in 1991. She followed up 37 times. 37. In 1995, she received a partial document release. Pages blacked out entirely. Sentences interrupted mid-thought. But in the fragments, in the gaps that survived, there was enough. The plateau above Millhaven had been used between 1954 and 1961. Testing and storage. A class of experimental compounds. The documents called them atmospheric dispersal agents. Atmospheric. Dispersal. Agents. Compounds released into the air above the valley. Compounds that drifted downhill on the wind. Compounds that mixed with the air that 400 people breathed every day, without knowing. And then 3 words. 3 words in the surviving text that Carol read 5 times before she could process them. A contained, unknowing population. The residents of Millhaven had not been living near the project. They had been the project. From 1954 to 1958, the air above their valley had been a delivery system. Their lungs had been data points. Their behavior, their health, their children, variables. In a program they never consented to. In a program they never knew existed. And when the program ended, the government came. Politely, calmly, with leather briefcases and 2 cups of cold coffee. And they removed the evidence. Not to protect the people. To protect the program from the people. The relocation was not compensation. It was containment. The dispersal across 7 states was not procedure. It was isolation. The documents they all signed were not contracts. They were receipts. Receipts for what had been taken. So the people doing the taking could feel like they'd paid for it. It was past midnight when Carol called her father. He answered on the 2nd ring. He always did. He had been a light sleeper for 30 years. Ever since the night his family drove out of Millhaven. Carol said, "Dad, I found it." Raymond was quiet. The plateau. The compounds. What they were doing up there. Long silence on the line. Then Raymond said, "Tell me." Carol told him. The shape of it. The outline. What had been done. Why. And what the relocation had actually been. Raymond didn't speak for a long time. Then, very quietly, I knew something was wrong. Carol said, "What made you know?" "They were too polite," Raymond said. "Men who come to take everything don't apologize for it. Not unless they already know they should. I signed because I was scared. But some part of me always knew. What we signed wasn't a contract." Carol said, "What do you want to do now?" Raymond said, "I want people to know Millhaven existed. Eleanor, George, everyone who got in a car and didn't look back. I want their story told." He stopped. "Because right now we are a blank space on a map. And I am 74 years old. And I am tired of being a blank space." Carol published her findings in 1997. 19 testimonies. Cartographic evidence. Partial documents. George Talley's photograph. She named everyone who gave her permission to name them. The government confirmed a project had operated in the region. Records remained classified. No further comment. No investigation. No charges.
No επάλεγη.
No one responsible for anything. Raymond Decker died in 2003. He never received a formal acknowledgement that he had lived in Millhaven. Never an apology. Never an explanation of what had been in the air above his childhood home. what it had done to his body, what it might have done to his children. To Carol, he never found out. But here is the part of this story that nobody talks about, the part that kept me awake. In 2019, a researcher named Thomas Vane filed a new Freedom of Information request, a different legal pathway, a different agency. He received a different partial release. And in that release, buried in a single surviving paragraph that should have been blacked out but wasn't, there was a reference. Program Phase 2. Phase 2. Carol had proven Phase 1. Millhaven, 1954 to 1958. Phase 2 had a different location code, a different population designation, a different start date, which means after Millhaven was entered, after the town was erased from every map, after 400 people were scattered across 7 states and bound to silence. After all of that, they did it again. Thomas Vane requested the location code for Phase 2. Denied. National security. Still classified. But that is not the worst part. The document containing the Phase 2 reference had something else. A handwritten note in the margin. Not typed. Handwritten. Someone had picked up a pen and written 3 words by hand in the margin of a classified federal document. 3 words that Thomas Vane cannot explain. 3 words that nobody has been able to explain. Still in progress. Still in progress. No date.
No signature.
No context. Nobody knows when it was written. Nobody knows who wrote it. Nobody knows what it means. Somewhere in this country, there may be a town right now. A town with a diner and a post office and children on bicycles. A town where someone wakes up at 2 in the morning and looks out their kitchen window and sees something moving on the ridge above them. Trucks with no headlights, making no sound. And they go back to bed. And they tell themselves the dark plays tricks. Raymond Decker watched a water tower disappear in a car window when he was 17 years old. He carried it for the rest of his life. He died not knowing what had been in the air he breathed as a child. His daughter still doesn't know. The plateau above where Millhaven stood is still federal land.
No markers. No monuments. No plaques.
No acknowledgement that 400 people lived in that valley, that they breathed its air, that they knew each other's names, that they left their dead in the ground. If you look at a map of that area of Colorado today, you will find roads, elevation lines, the careful shape of the land. You will not find Millhaven. The blank space is still there, and somewhere tonight, Thomas Vane is still looking for Phase 2. He hasn't found it yet. I want to ask you something, and I want you to think about this before you answer. If you lived in a town right now, on a ridge, with something on the plateau above you that moved at night with no lights and no sound, and then one day, 3 men came to your door with briefcases and told you to leave, and told you never to speak about it, would you stay quiet? Tell me in the comments. Because the people of Millhaven stayed quiet for 23 years. And it almost worked.